Hello everybody and welcome to DC Fine Art. Today I will be covering some tips on how I created this marble in soft pastel. Also, I'll be going over the paper that I used, and I wanted to wish you all a happy holidays from my family to yours. About ready to fall off the chair, be like, happy holidays. So yeah, I just got myself totally distracted there. Sorry about that, guys. And then I wanted to tell you, this won't be a full tutorial on how I created this marble going from start to finish like I did before. That will be actually on my Patreon underneath Soft Pastels. So if you're interested in becoming a Patreon, the link is listed in the description below, where you will basically get access to all my videos. I will have a tutorial on those, either slowing them down or getting super close on some of them. Or I did end up throwing in some bonus material, so a bonus tutorial right before a video. So that can help you guys out also. And sometimes I even throw in, or at least I have done now for my Patreons, I'll throw in maybe a sneak peek of what I'm working on or what the next video will be. So that's on there too. Plus that, depending on what tier you are actually in, you will receive either access to all my videos. On another tier, you can end up getting a postcard from me, or if it goes up, it's going to be a greeting card, or actually it's a bookmark made by me, so I will be making those here. And then a greeting card, I think, is the other one. So yeah, super cool stuff. Go check it out. I know that I've been building up my Patreon, so right now currently I don't know how many videos I've got so far in Patreon, but I am definitely working on building that video, kind of like video files, I would like to say. I don't even know about files. I've actually tried to separate them to where it's like soft pastel, colored pencil, acrylic, charcoal. So yeah, I am starting to build up those categories on Medium, so that way it will help you guys out in finding what you're needing. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I just wanted to cover that real quick for you. Like I said, there'll be a video out next week, and then I may be a little bit late on the following week for a video. So all that said, let's go ahead and turn it around and let's go over these tips. The supplies that I'm using is the blending stump, kneaded eraser, sharpener, paper towel, and sanding block in case I want some sharper points on my pencils. The paper that I'm using is the Canson Mi-Tientes pastel paper. Now, depending on what color you use, you could have a change in color or texture also. I use the back side, so that way it's a little bit smoother. And you are still going to have a little bit of that rougher kind of look to it. It's not going to be like the pastel matte. So just wanted to make that clear. You are going to see a little bit of texture in this paper. I then create a color chart just by pulling some random colors that I think is close to the reference photo. Make sure your reference photo is in sight, so while you're working, you can always look up and see what colors are in your picture. Make sure you have a clean, transferred drawing on your paper. The first step I do whenever I'm going to start my soft pastel painting is I'm going to use my kneaded eraser to roll it over the graphite. That way I'm taking off that top shiny part of the graphite, and this will allow my soft pastels to be able to stick better to the paper and will go over the top of that graphite pencil. If you don't do that, then your graphite pencil may end up showing. The next step would be to pick apart in your painting what part really draws you in. And if it's something, if it's an animal, maybe you want to start out with the eyes. If you really like the eyes, that's usually my main go-to whenever I'm working on an animal, would be going to their eyes first. With this, it was just that rusty color in the center of the marble. So I wanted to start out with that. Now I'm just basically, I'll be layering in my first layers and then blending it out with my blending stump. I will come back in with my darker shadows and I will go ahead and blend those out along with my white highlight after that, making sure I have my base layer laid down. I can then highlight and then blend those out as well. Now, if I need to, I can come back in with my darker colors and just kind of tone things down when needed. Your mid-tone colors and your darks are super, super important. So make sure you layer in all your mid-tone blues. Like in here, I have a mid-tone blue and then I have my darker blue. Make sure those are in, but go around the areas that you're going to leave the brightest whites, like your highlights. Make sure to leave those clean, and that way they don't get like shadowed down with blue or have a blue tone to them. Leave those out of the picture till the very end. I usually go with my highlights toward the end. Blend those areas out. Now coming back through and making highlights, take the lighter blue or your lighter blues or your whites, and this is what you lead up to. You may end up having to do a second layer of this white also, but just make sure that you go back over it. When you go back over it the second time, you may have to use your fingers in order to blend because your blending stump may end up removing too much of the pigment away from the paper. And you can either put your highlights in, your brightest highlights, before you actually paint around them, but always remember you can come back through like I'm doing here and add in more highlights in your base layers to create more of that depth and shiny feel to your piece. All right, and your shadow now. Working on a shadow is very key to making something look more three-dimensional. I'll take my blending stump and I'll just kind of blend it out, kind of softening out those hard edges. Make sure there's no hard edges. Yeah, you can have a darker color in there, but just make sure that it's not really sharp edges. Like just smooth them out, make them nice and soft, and then add your white in there and your light blues, and make sure on your second layer to use your finger, because with this paper, using just a blending stump, it will totally wipe away a lot of your pigment. So using your fingers is a must in this to make sure your pigment stays right on the paper. The last step I do is use my kneaded eraser to clean up all those little dust particles away from my marble. Now here is a close-up view of the marble with the highlights and some of the things I've added, working on a larger scale. And here is the finished piece that I have created. Also, if you guys are wanting a little bit slower tutorial or me to go over from start to finish with this piece, you can find it over on my Patreon. The link is in the description below. And I will see you all on the next video. Bye, you guys.